From KUT Austin Studio 1A, Larry Monroe hosts, accompanied by Joel Tepp, Danny O'Keefe.
Everybody's gone away. Believe this time they're gonna stay. There's not a soul I know around. Everybody's leaving town. Some caught a freight, some caught a plane. Find the sunshine, leave the rain. They said this town will waste your time. I guess they're right, it's wasting mine. Some gotta win, some gotta lose. Good time Charlie's got the blues. Good time Charlie's got the blues. You know my heart kept telling me you're not a kid at 33. Play around, you lose your wife. Play too long, you lose your life. Got my pills to ease the pain. Can't find a thing to ease the rain. I'd love to try and settle down, but everybody's leaving town. Some gotta win, some gotta lose. Good time Charlie's got the blues. Good time Charlie's got the blues. Good time Charlie got the blues.
Welcome to Live Set. I'm Larry Monroe in Studio 1A with a man I consider to be one of the great American songwriters, Danny O'Keefe. Hi,
How do
Danny.
you do?
It's good to have you in here.
My pleasure. Great to be in Austin.
Danny's being accompanied by Joel Tepp on guitar and harmonica. Danny, were you 33 years old when you wrote Good Time Charlie's Got the Blues?
I don't know. I wrote it probably in late 67 or 68, so I was younger than that.
Mm-hmm.
You know. But 33 was sort of that mythic age, you know.
Right, yeah. Now, when Waylon Jennings sings that song, he says you're not a kid at 43.
Well, there you have it.
Well, we've got a bunch of songs that Danny's going to sing for you on Live Set, so let me just get him started. Danny O'Keefe, accompanied by Joel Tepp.
I had a 56 T-Bird. Man, I was king of the highway, trying to make it look fast and easy, dreaming of doing it my way. Let's put the top down, baby, feel the wind in our hair. We were too young to know better, too cool to care. And all I wanted was you by my side. Baby, you won't let long for the ride. Rock and roll on the radio, let's turn it up and get down. Convert our dreams, run wild in the streets of the old-time American town. When you played the Thrill Queen, baby, I heard the jazz of joy. You were every girl in the world, but I wasn't every boy. And all I wanted was you by my side. Baby, you won't let long for the ride. All I wanted was you by my side. Baby, we both went along for the ride. Won't let long for the ride. Memory pink and charcoal gray are the colors I painted this song. You were 19 and perfect, baby, but no one stays perfect too long. And all I wanted was you by my side. Baby, you won't let long for the ride. All I wanted was you by my side. Baby, we both went along for the ride. Only long for the ride. Highways and dance halls, a good song takes you far. You write about the moon, you dream about the stars. Blues in old motel rooms, girls in daddy's cars. You sing about the nights, you laugh about the scars. Coffee in the morning, cocaine all night long. On the graveyard shift, buried in the sun. Phone calls long distance, tell you how you been. You'll forget about the losses, you'll exaggerate the wins. And when you stop to let them know you got it down, it's just another time along the road. Ladies come to see you if your name still rings a bell. They'll get you down to nothing and they'll say they knew you well. So you tell them you'll remember, but they know it's just a game. and along the road their faces all began to look the same. And when you stop to let them know you got it down, it's just another town along the road. It isn't for the money, and it's only for a while. You talk about the rooms, you roll away the miles. Gamblers in the neon, singing to guitars. You're right about the moon, but you're wrong about the stars. And when you stop to let them know you got it down, it's just another town, just another town, just another town along the road. Magdelena sits in a chair, speaking of the mass. She talks in slicing splinters, laughs like breaking glass. She says that she would have me scared away, stealing all my images till there's nothing left to say. But oh, Magdelena, nothing like a saint you are. Your love is like a razor, my heart is just a scar. Magdelena, nothing like a saint you are. She tell me that she wants me, then she tell me not to bother. Tell me that I couldn't hold a candle to her father. She knows that she's got me when I start to rave about it, and she'll just smile and flash her eyes and blow the candle out. Oh, Magdelena, nothing like a saint you are. Your love is like a razor, my heart is just a scar. Magdelena, nothing like a saint you are. Magdelena, lying there could make a dancer stumble, make a preacher bite his tongue and leave him with the mumbles. And if you think I'm crazy, baby, that I'm funning you, just pay your dues and lose your blues when she gets her tongue at you. Magdelena, nothing like a saint you are. Magdelena, nothing like a saint you are. She cannot be forgotten and she will not be ignored. You find her in your poems and your songs. She wanders through your memories, dances through your dreams. Seems like everywhere you go she comes along. Magdelena, nothing like a saint you are. Your love is like a razor, my heart is just a scar. Magdelena, nothing like a saint you are.
Danny O'Keefe is our guest on Live Set here on KUT. Danny's being accompanied by Joel Tepp on guitar and harmonica. I'm so glad to have you in here and hearing songs like Magdelena, and a little bit later you're going to do Catfish,
Catfish
from that era. Now, at one point along the way, you actually co-wrote a song with Bob Dylan. Danny, tell us about that.
In the 90s, I did some time as a contract writer, and I worked for a couple of years for Bob Dylan's company, special writer. And the woman who signed me called one day and said, Bob just sent a tape, a demo, and he'd like to see if you could write words to it. You know, which is like, oh. Nonplussed, I waited for, the mail the next couple of days and jammed it into the cassette player with undue excitement, and lo and behold, and it went on like that. At some point in the song, you could hear the voice off the microphone going, well, and that was it. So I didn't know if Bob was having me on or what, but I knew I'd never get another copyright opportunity with him, and I love him dearly. He's obviously beyond legend, and so I took him for his at his word that the lyrical contribution that he had made was intentional, and I added another well, and we made it about one of the most precious resources on the planet, well water. Well.
The man who stole on water will swim forevermore, but he never reached the land on that golden shore. That faint white light will haunt his heart till his only memory lost in the dark. Dig your hole in the ground all the way down to hell, till there ain't no more water in the well. When you're down on your knees with nothing left to sell, try digging a little deeper in the well. The water used to run so clear and so fresh, now poisons creep through it that wither the flesh. The man sells us back our water like we're fish on his line, trying to turn our blood into his wine. Dig your hole in the ground all the way down to hell, till there ain't no more water in the well. When you're down on your knees with nothing left to sell, try digging a little deeper in the well. Take care of your body like you care for your soul. Take care you don't dig yourself into a hole. Till you pay the price, you don't know the worth of the air and the water, the fire and the earth. Dig your hole in the ground on the way down to hell, till there ain't no more water nowhere, well. When you're down on your knees with nothing left to sell, try digging a little deeper in the well. The man who stole the water will swim forevermore, but he'll never reach the land on that golden shore.
All right, some catfish. No, some just plain fish, some trout.
Let's go fishing, Frank. Let's go fishing, Frank. We got beer in the cooler, we got gas in the tank, and these good times are like money in the bank. You know these good times are like money in the bank. We were born looking for rainbows. We were born looking for rainbows. We were born looking for rainbows. So let's go fishing on Frank. Let's go fishing, Frank. We'll take Dorothy and Daniel and that little cocker spaniel. And if anyone asks you what's it all about, just wink and grin and tell them trout. Rainbow trout. 'Cause good times are like money in the bank. You know these good times are like money in the bank. We were born looking for rainbows. We were born looking for rainbows. We were born looking for rainbows. So let's go fishing, Frank. Let's go fishing, Frank. Let's go fishing, Frank. Let's go fishing, Frank. Cast our fate to the water. Give the reels a crank. 'Cause these good times are like money in the bank. You know these good times are like money in the bank. We were born looking for rainbows. We were born looking for rainbows. We were born looking for rainbows. So let's go fishing, Frank. Let's go fishing, Frank. Let's go fishing, Frank.
How about a little catfish?
sitting by the water, staring at the stream. Tell me, honey, are there any catfish in your dreams? Catfish ain't expensive, neither is it free. Some folks crazy about it, others have to leave it be. Suckers and bullheads never will do, but a catfish will show you a thing or two. If you go down to the bank so you can flash your bait, if you're looking for catfish, honey, you ain't got long to wait. Catfish got whiskers and a sweet little grin, but you never can tell where catfish had been. Mama, mama, mama. Well, you go down to the bank so you can flash your bait. If you're looking for catfish, honey, you ain't got long to wait. I'll be your catfish any old time you just call out my name and drop me on line. Take one more. Sitting by the water, staring at the stream. Tell me, honey, are there any catfish in your, catfish in your, catfish in your dream?
Danny O'Keefe is our guest on Live Set here on KUT. Joel Tepp is accompanying Danny on guitar and harmonica and clarinet. Danny, those songs we just heard, Well, 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 Let's Go Fishing, Frank, and Catfish, all have to do with the water. And you live actually on an island up in the Puget Sound, and in addition to the rivers and the wells, the rain is an important part of your life, right?
Yes, you live in the Great Northwest, and you get immersed. It comes from underneath, and it comes from overhead, and it's all around you. Being on an island, it's like having a moat, but it's been very wet this year. So when people hear water, images creep into my songs. There's a real reason for it.
Yeah, well, I think I've heard you say you have to love the rain if you live in that part of the country, and you also have to appreciate the shades of gray.
Ah, yes, the shades of gray.
Danny O'Keefe is our guest. His website is DannyO'Keefe.com. And you've got a great song about the rain called Pieces of the Rain. Would you sing that one for us?
It'd be my pleasure.
As the silver pearls of light slide down my window, I watch a stream of cars go by like shadows melting in the night. I listen to the sound of splash and whir. I listen through the rain to the whole wide world. I sit back down and loosen the shoes of my dreams. And I pick on my guitar as I sit waiting by the phone. Tonight I'm more than single, tonight I am alone. And if I could hold you with my heart, like you will a guitar in mine, I wouldn't have to play so long. My hands could feel the pain. If I could hold you with my heart, like you were the guitar in my arms, I wouldn't be here in the dark, playing pieces of the rain. A man who won't turn back when I know how to stop. Try living at the bottom if you think that it's so lonely at the top. It's all puppet moves in pantomime. Whose voice is this that sings? I think I'm on my own till I feel your memory pulling on the strings. And if I could hold you with my heart, like you were the guitar in my arms, I wouldn't have to play so long. My hands could feel the pain. If I could hold you with my heart, like you were the guitar in my arms, I wouldn't be here in the dark, playing pieces of the rain. I can see your face float out of the blue, staring off into space, wondering if you ever knew. Every piece I play a piece of you. If I could hold you with my heart, like you were the guitar in my arms, I wouldn't have to play so long. My hands could feel the pain. If I could hold you with my heart, like you were the guitar in my arms, I wouldn't be here in the dark, playing pieces of the rain. I wouldn't be here in the dark, playing pieces of the rain.
This is Live Set on KUT. I'm Larry Monroe in Studio 1A with Danny O'Keefe. He's being accompanied by Joel Tepp. Danny O'Keefe on Live Set.
I left a boy in Vietnam, he's the age that I was then. I'll never be completely here, but I can't go there again. You'd see a lot of me in him, though it might take a while. But you'd see her in his eyes every time he'd smile. I miss the boy and both of us more than words can say. Now the end of my tears is an ocean away. Only an ocean away. Met her on a furlough in what used to be Saigon. Seems 100 years ago, for my heart and my leg were gone. Her name was Huang, she worked the bars, but she came back late to me. And we were close as two can get, till finally we were three. I loved her with a sense of shame and a joy I'd never known. But when time came for me to leave, I couldn't bring her home. I feared for what my family and all my friends would say. Now the end of my tears is an ocean away. Only an ocean away. There's something in my memory I know I'll never kill. If I couldn't do it then, now I know I never will. I'm not the man I'll ever be, nor the boy I was before. And what I lost in Vietnam was a lot more than a war. Love won't show me what to do, won't tell me what to say. Now the end of my tears is an ocean away. Only an ocean away. Only an ocean away.
Danny O'Keefe is our guest on Live Set. That song, Only an Ocean Away, is also on Runnin' from the Devil, and it's also going to be in a documentary film. Is that right, Danny?
Yes, it's a film that was made here in Austin. I think it's just now finished. It's made by a local filmmaker, Pat Freeze, who has Arrowhead Film Production. It's very moving. It's about Sergeant Donald Matoka. His remainder of his bones were turned over by North Vietnam, and it's a very, very moving story. And that was a theme song. It's called An Ocean Away. It'd probably rip you up if you see it, but you ought to see it.
Let's talk about another couple of topics I know you're interested in. Songbirds and coffee beans, and they're related, right?
They are very much related. One of the things that began to happen as a result of so-called modern farming techniques in coffee country, which is, for us is largely Latin America, Mexico and Central America and part of South America, was that the canopy of trees, the tropical forests, began to be taken out in order to grow hybrid coffee plants that produce greater yields, but became chemically dependent, and it was largely the result of the companies like Dow and Monsanto who were making hybrid plants, and it was in their interest, and they convinced a lot of the coffee farmers that it was in their interest to have greater yields. Well, Economics 101 will tell you that if you produce too much of something, the price goes down, and that's exactly what happened. A lot of the problems that occurred as a result of that were declines in bird populations, because all of our migratory songbirds go to Latin America in the winter, and in the early 1980s they began to see these populations decline, and they couldn't figure out why was it occurring. And as they looked at farms that had still had retained their canopy, their trees, they found that almost as many of the bird species that would exist in a intact native tropical forest were in the coffee farms that they had adapted, as long as they had canopy, because they need elevation, and they need a source of food, and they were very helpful to farmers who were farming in what had been the traditional coffee manner, which was essentially to grow your plants underneath the canopy, and the mulch from the leaves, and the birds would take care of the insects, and it was a very natural process that had been de rigueur in coffee culture for almost from its inception. And it was only when changed nature through chemistry that we began to upset once again the balance of nature. And so in 1997, as I began to become critically aware of that, started a small nonprofit called the Songbird Foundation. And if anybody'd like to go online and take a look at some of the information, it's www.songbird.org. And for the last 7 or 8 years, we've worked on those issues, and even if as few as 2 or 3 years ago, if you'd gone into your local grocery store or your favorite coffee shop, you wouldn't have seen organic, shade-grown, and fair trade coffees, which we refer to as sustainably grown coffees. And now you see them in a great many places. So it is changing. I think the farmers are understanding that diversity of crops and the traditional coffee plants, the Bourbons and Typicas, are greater tasting, and there's more money in a better tasting cup.
And it's not that you're against coffee. You love coffee, and indeed even roast your own beans, right?
I roast my own beans in a popcorn popper.
And it's a musical experience for you, right?
It is. A lot of people who are not familiar with the coffee roasting process, a green coffee bean, as it heats up, does a couple things that tell the roaster that it's being roasted and roasting successfully. And the first is kind of a popcorn kind of pop, a rapid pop as it builds up heat internally. And then there's a little space in between as it gets even hotter, and then there's kind of a little Rice Krispie pop, and it's actually a lot of fun. Coffee's good too.
Are you working on a new album? Is there a record that might be coming out in the not-too-distant future?
I hope the not-too-distant future. As soon as we can get them done, we'll try and get it out.
Well, would you play one of those new songs for us?
Yeah. I wrote it with Fred Kohler in Nashville some time ago, but I love it a lot. It's called The First Time.
I was nervous the first time she let me in the back of her daddy's old car, both wishing that we had a road now, 'cause we'd never been quite that far. First time I promised forever to honor, to love, and obey. An old matrimonial soldier said, son, it don't always work out that way. But the first time's the one you remember, no matter how good it gets. People tell you practice makes perfect, but the first time is one time no one forgets. I can still taste that first shot of whiskey, and the first time I got really high. I said to myself, this is living. Next day I thought I'd died. I remember the first time she left me, waking up in a cold empty bed. The first time I'd ever been speechless, with so much I wished I'd said. First time's the one you remember, no matter how good it gets. People tell you practice makes perfect, but the first time is one time no one forgets. Life's made up of surprises, no telling what fortune may bring. Long as we keep moving forward, there's a first time for everything. And the first time you become a believer in the hope there's a heaven above is when death lays a hand on the shoulder of someone you truly have loved. As I roll on down life's highway, driven by hunger and thirst, I keep telling myself to remember, treat every time like the first. It's the first time someone you remember, no matter how good it gets. People tell you practice makes perfect, but the first time is one time no one forgets. Yes, the first time is one time no one forgets.
Danny, I've always been intrigued by this next song you're going to play because I know a couple of women who play the steel guitar, and I'd like to send this out to Connie Hancock and Cindy Cashdollar.
Well, with pleasure. And Leon McAuliffe, wherever he may be.
You know, the girl once told me she dreamed she was pretty, lived in a very cool part of the city with a man who came home evenings at 6 and begged her to play him country licks on steel guitar, playing showbiz tricks on that old steel guitar. Her pa had been a welder during the war, and he played country music every night till 4 with some drugstore cowboys who could pick and grin. And if you let it out, honey, they'd bring it all back in on steel guitar. Back over Helltown breakfast on that steel guitar. He taught his daughter to drink whiskey like water and to go for the man who had something to offer. He said to her, baby, you can go very far with an easy laugh and the steel guitar, steel guitar. You don't need a man now, baby, you got a steel guitar. Jack was a rambler and he'd been around Nashville. He knew all the tricks and he sure wasn't bashful. He heard Carol playing on a steel guitar. He said to her, mama, we could sure go far on your steel guitar. We could make it together now, baby, on steel guitar. Make a short story longer, they had a couple of children. Jack went to war and the enemy killed him, and Carol got his pension and a Purple Heart, and every night till 2 she tears them apart on steel guitar. She said, you don't need a man, honey, when you got a steel guitar. She plays country music, she paid up her dues. You ought to drop in, brother, if you got nothing to lose. She can steal a guitar, steal a heart. They come every night to get picked apart by a steel guitar. She got a showbud special, baby, a steel guitar. Bobbin' doodle long dong, bobbin' doodle long dong, bobbin' doodle long dong, down, 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 down.
Danny O'Keefe is our guest on Live Set. He's being accompanied by Joel Tepp. Danny, I think we have time for just one more song.
Well, in that case, I want to sing something special. I didn't write this. It was written a long time ago by a man named Spencer Williams, and he was one of the great writers of the canon of New Orleans, early New Orleans jazz songs. I could dedicate it to all those people, the old time kings and queens, and the new time kings and queens have been forced to leave New Orleans. Hopefully someday they'll be back. All you old-time queens from New Orleans who lived in Storyville, you sang the blues, tried to amuse. Here's how they paid the bill. The law stepped in, called it sin to have a little fun. The police compass made us stop, and Storyville's all done. Pick out your steamboat, baby. Pick yourself a train, a slow train. Pick out your steamboat, baby. Pick yourself a train. I mean a slow train. They made you close up, they'll never let you back. Oh no, won't let you back. Go buy your ticket, mama, as you walk the track. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain. I mean the cold or rain. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain. The cold or rain. Say farewell now, get your one last thrill. I mean your one last thrill. Just say farewell now, farewell to Storyville. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain, the cold or rain. No use complaining, blue skies follow rain, the cold or rain. Just say farewell now, get your one last thrill. I mean your one last thrill. Just say farewell now, farewell to Storyville.
Danny O'Keefe, our guest on Live Set. Danny accompanied himself on acoustic guitar, and Joel Tepp played electric guitar, harmonica, and clarinet. Danny's website is dannyokeefe.com, and he has another website you might be interested in, songbird.org. Live Set is produced by Walter Morgan, who also does the audio mix. Many of our live sets are archived on our website, KUT.org. From Studio 1A, I'm Larry Monroe for Live Set on KUT Austin. Thank you, Danny.
Thank you, Larry. It was a real pleasure.